It all started about 1 year ago. I decided to pack up my trailer and drive 2 hours north to pick up what is arguably one of the ugliest motorcycles on the market. For those of you that saw the last video, my name is Nick, you're watching Olsen Auto. This is part 2 of the Yamaha Seika Turbo Project Build Turbo Motorcycle, whatever you want to call it. Before I jump into it, it has been about 5 months since my last video. This is my apology. I've been very busy between work and school. I digress, trying to get back in the groove of things, hoping to get out optimistically a video per week. Be on the lookout for that. If you have the notification on, it'll tell you when I upload, and it's not like I'm uploading every day. So I kind of want to go over what I paid for this bike, all the costs, all the parts, how hard were things to buy, because if you're anything like me and you like these really weird but kind of cool bikes, you're gonna want to have some background knowledge, especially when there's only 1,500 of them in the world. Now, that is a bit of an exaggeration. They made 4,000 in 1982 and just 1,500 in 1983. This happens to be a 1983. For those who are unfamiliar, this is a 1983 Yamaha Seika XJ650 Turbo. It's a mouthful, but it's a really cool bike. It's an inline 4, 650cc sport bike. It makes maybe 100 wheel horsepower, give or take, makes about 15 pounds of boost. It is a 4 carburetor, 4 cylinder, turbocharged bike. Now, the cool factor is really what gets me, because it's so unbelievably ugly, but it has a turbo on it. You know, it kind of balances itself out. Now, what's interesting is these bikes do not hold their value whatsoever. I don't know why, because the CBX 1000 that I have over there, they made significantly more of them. It's an inline 6 1000cc super sport, and they're worth quite a pretty penny. I mean, they range from $10,000 to $30,000 depending on condition for a 1979 motorcycle. That's way too much. But something like this, where they made significantly less and it has its own cool factor, they're not worth much. So to kind of get us started, I have all my notes on my phone here, and I apologize for the bike and the garage being so dusty. I just painted a vehicle in here, so it's kind of gross. I paid $1,500 for this bike. I was lucky enough to get to hear the bike run when I had gone to pick it up. It was about 2 hours away. I was lucky enough to hear proof of life, and that was good enough for me. It had clean papers and it ran kinda. So I loaded it up on the trailer and I brought it home. I went up to Albany, New York, which is another 2.5 to 3 hour drive each way. There was an individual there named Chris who has a couple turbo bikes himself, and he was selling a new old stock gas tank, brand new in the box, never been installed. So I grabbed that, and I also picked up a set of refurbished carburetors from him. They were in fantastic condition, so I threw those on. In total, I paid $750, I believe, for the pair. I wish that was all it needed to get going, because I installed those parts and it did not want to stay running. Now, there's an individual who specializes in these old Yamahas. XJ Bikes Forever is the name of it. If you Google it, you'll find it. And he was selling a fuel pump. Now, the fuel pump was $250 and you can't find it anywhere else. So after I spent $750 on the gas tank and carbs, and then had to put a fuel pump in it as well. Throw in another $30 to $40 for miscellaneous fuel line, fittings, and hose clamps and everything like that. So it got a full new fuel system. Gas tank, carbs, fuel pump, all the lines. And then the petcock started leaking, so throw another 20 in for a petcock rebuild. Oh, but my luck doesn't end there. It only gets better. Now it starts running and it's dumping all of its oil on the ground. So I was out, whatever, $50 or $60 worth of oil. So I had to do 2 oil changes, probably 120 between the 2. Spark plugs, another 40. Now the tires, because they were like original to 1983, bald, flat spotted, and didn't hold air, super dry rotted. So obviously I'm not gonna ride a 100 horsepower sport bike on dry rotted tires. So another $350, and it was very hard to find a set of tires that actually fit. These are Avon sport tires. They grip amazing. I love the tire. It is what it is. I had my guy at Metzger Motorworks find the tires for me, so big shout out to Lance. Now, recently the fork seals did go out, so I have not bothered to replace those yet. That'll probably be, call it $100 between the seals and the fluid. I did pay maybe $20 or $25 for a new brake lever, because this one, like the end, the little ball piece was broken off, and I figure might as well go back to stock. Now, of course, I did have to register the bike, so I think it was maybe $150 in registration. It really wasn't anything too crazy, but of course, I figured I would include it. all in, how much has it cost me, not including labor, to purchase and get this bike to the state that it's currently at? I will tell you the full cost to rebuild this bike in just a minute. But first, let's wash it up, see how it looks, and see how it rides to see if all of this was actually worth the effort. Well, that kind of wraps up the turbo bike. Obviously, it makes all the cool, fun turbo noises. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know if that's the tire slipping on the ground or the clutch slipping. If I had to guess, it's the clutch. I imagine somebody put your standard, 10 weight 40 motor oil in here. For those of you who know bikes, you know that this needs a special friction modifier in the oil. That's why I use bike oil, because it's a wet clutch. I assume someone didn't, and that typically will cause the clutch to start slipping. It's not a big deal, clutches are easy enough to do. But that's kind of the bike. I think it's a pretty sweet ride. Now, technically I'm about, what'd we say? Let's call it $3,500 deep. As far as bikes go, I've been deeper and a lot worse. It's pretty cool. It's ugly as sin, so no one's ever gonna try to steal it, which is a good thing. Makes some cool noises. I'm never gonna see another one on the road. I like the more unique stuff, as you can tell with the CBX and the RMX. I like the things that no one else is gonna have, and I think this achieves that. Now, for those of you that are wondering, should I purchase a turbo bike? Whether it's a GPZ, the Yamaha, really any of them, they all kind of have the same problem. If you don't like struggling to find parts, don't buy it. Trying to find parts for this thing, it's a nightmare. It's hen's teeth. You can't do it, and when you can, it's exorbitant, extortionate even. So besides that, this bike is great. It's heavy as all get out. Trying to push it around the garage and everything, or up and down the driveway, it sucks. It's a really heavy bike, especially compared to like the Bobber, which is lower to the ground, so it's easier to maneuver, and it weighs a bit less, but it's a great bike. I think it's really cool. It's got a lot of flair, a lot of fun factor to it that you wouldn't normally get in another bike. So I would say overall, I'm definitely satisfied with it. Now, this wasn't exactly like a more of a history video like my last one was. If you guys want to see a little bit more of the history of the turbo bike era, check out my last video, but I'm gonna wrap this one up here. The bike runs and rides, it's got new tires, it's ready for the season. It still doesn't run perfect. Needs a little bit of something, but I will figure that out on my own time. Next video is gonna be on how to paint a car, even though I already painted it. Gonna do a recap. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.